Live at Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. This is Sooner Sports Talk on the Sooner Sports Network from Learfield.
Stripped by Godwin, breakaway, Sam Godwin, hammer! Godwin picked the pocket.
Wayne to Verhulst, quick release three, swish.
Fierce, pull up three for the tie, foul! He hit it! He hit it! Miles, pump fake, steps left, open three for the lead, got it! He knocked the bottom out of it, and the Sooners lead it! Northweather for three, Big Luke! Big Luke! Bam! Throw ahead to Moore, Moore with the breakaway, he'll dunk it, and you can unhitch the wagon! You can unhitch the wagon! Put the ponies in the barn!
This is Sooner Sports Talk.
Welcome back inside Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. It's time for Sooner Sports Talk. Now, Toby and the men's basketball team, they're on the road. They're getting set for a big showdown with Auburn, so please join me in welcoming Tyler Neal up to the stage. What's up, boss? How are you, brother?
Good to see you.
We go handshake, too. Make it
Both.
easy.
Both is better than just one.
Boy, what a week. What a week for OU basketball. So we're going to get into it all. Our opening segment, as always, is brought to you by our buddy Noble McIntyre and McIntyre Law. Noble McIntyre Law, the law firm you should turn to for all your personal injury needs. All right, there's this thing called the compliment sandwich, right? A great businessman, Stuart Gilligan Griffin, talked about it. You say something nice, then you get to the rough part, and then you say something nice. So we'll save A&M for the meat of this sandwich, right?
Yeah.
So let's just hit on a couple things here right off the top. Number one, wow, what a second half. And really, Tyler, it goes back to the end of the first half when Oklahoma decided, all right, enough of this. Let's play team basketball. And they went on the run to end the first half. They went on a 9-2 run to end the first half and then outscored Vanderbilt 61-27 in the second half.
Yeah, Porter Moser's been talking a lot about starting games better, and I still think maybe we can fit that into the A&M portion of the show. That the things to work on.
The meat of the compliment sandwich.
That's right, the meat. But he will take ending halves better and starting them better, and that happened in this Vanderbilt game. And you hear coaches talk all the time. Multiple different sports. Basketball is no different. That middle 8 or the middle 6 or however close you want to get around halftime. The reality is great teams, really good teams handle those minutes really well because basketball is a momentum sport, just like a lot are. It's going into that halftime interval where you're going into talking about adjustments, tactics, things you have to fix on the floor. It does help to be able to take a good stretch of basketball in with you. Not only so you're feeling kind of high and mighty about some things, the other team is always going to be feeling the exact inverse, of course. And that was the case there in that Vandy game.
Yeah, you're looking at a team that in the first half for Oklahoma looked lost. I think it's fair. I don't think Porter would get mad about that. It wasn't the same aggressive team. And you see, at one point in the first half, you're down 13, 28-15. Our highlights. Okay, so at the 9:06 mark, it was 38-27. And Oklahoma's still down 11 points.
Yep.
And then, boom, it clicked, and they got on a run, and it was a different team. All right, more on the Vandy second half coming up here in just a bit.
Yep.
Let's get the meat. Let's get the bad compliment sandwich here. Hold on. Dan's going to roll the second half highlights. Let's stay happy. Let's stay positive here. What'd you see that really clicked in that second half?
An obvious thing is, and kind of a byproduct, is the ball was popping. Bodies were moving. The ball was moving. And it's easy to just say, okay, well, if that works, let's move bodies more often. Let's move the basketball more often. And the reality is there's more to it than that. There's things that create that freedom of movement, that flow, that space on offense. And what is that? What are one of the main things? Getting stops and getting rebounds early in the game. The Sooner team didn't look very interested in playing defense at a high level. So guys like Dayton Forsythe, we'll talk about him in the next segment. But some guys like him come in and create contagious energy to that, and then all of a sudden it starts to build on one another. You build a possession on top of another stop and a score and another stop. Speaking of sandwiches, Lon Kruger used to call them stop sandwiches.
Oh, okay.
Let's go find a stop. Let's go get a basket. Let's get another stop. And there's a really good 3 possessions right there. You can write that down if you want.
I'm going to add that.
Take a note of that one. Absolutely.
My deli menu
But
here that I've got.
that's right. That's right. There were plenty of those in this game. And for this Oklahoma team, let's just call it like it is. There's a weakness on the glass of rebounding compared to some of their competition. I don't think they're just terrible on the glass. Some of these teams are just really, really dang good and really physical in that respect. So that you got to find some ways to overcome that and to let some of your strengths paper over those cracks and those weaknesses. And I think slowly but surely starting to find out some ways to do that.
I like the ball movement because every shot, Jeremiah Fears being aggressive, great to see him get back on track. We'll have more on him coming up in the next segment too. But all of these looks were good looks. There wasn't a shot thrown up at the end of the shot clock, right? There were good, clean looks. And you had guys, you talked about this a lot, Tyler, last week, and it stayed with me quite a bit. Seeing Luke hit a couple big threes in that first half, we mentioned what Dayton's become. That opens everything up for everyone else. And you got to have that fearless nature, as we see Jeremiah Fears doing what he does best. But you got to have
like
fearless.
Looks like an instant replay of the other ones.
Right. When you have those opportunities, you got to let it fly. And they did. And it opened everything up for everyone.
Yeah, and what you're seeing here is a lot of in this highlight package, a lot of drives to the basket, a lot of shots at the rim for Oklahoma in this second half. Here's another one, a really nice one at that, by Dayton Forsyth with the right hand, kind of a backward spin there. Really nice shot for a freshman to make. Another one, Duke Miles in the paint, 2 feet all the way in the paint. And again, we talked about that last week. Something that is helping create that is this team becoming more comfortable shooting from outside and starting to knock down shots. You need Northweather taking those shots. You need Glenn Taylor taking them. You need Dayton Forsyth taking them. You need Duke Miles taking them.
Yeah.
Because what you saw in the second half is a Vanderbilt team that was concerned about that shooting ability.
Yeah.
Rushing out on shooters and Fears and Forsyth and Miles, just driving straight down into the paint, 2 feet into the paint over and over again that second half.
72%. In fact, 72.7% from the floor in the second half. They shot 58% from beyond the three-point line, and they outscored Vanderbilt 61-27. Huge win, 97-67.
61.5. That's quite an accomplishment.
Huge in a half in college.
20
All
minutes.
Right, let's get the only thing we're going to mention, not positive, out of the way right now. Texas A&M game, we talked about the physicality and the need to be physical. Oklahoma went down there, fought, scratched, and clawed. But as you said, Tyler, you got to be closer in the rebounding battle than 47-19. Revisionist history from the 75-68 loss. I think it helped give them a little bit of an edge for that Vanderbilt game. But like you said, against certain teams, this is going to be a problem this year, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think Porter mentioned something that was really interesting in his, I think it was either pregame, it was probably pregame for Vandy on Friday with the media there. It wasn't like there were a bunch of shots going up from outside and guys are running from the three-point line unabated all the way to the rim to get rebounds. Texas A&M has been trained. Buzz Williams, let's give a lot of credit to him, by the way.
Oklahoma guy.
They have a couple of system wins here against Oklahoma, and that is, based off of their strength of rebounding the ball off the glass once they've taken a shot. They're not a great shooting team. You saw a little bit of it in the Norman game. The first game, Zurich Phelps got going from outside the arc. Maybe Bryson Goodine in that one was a little bit contagious, and we can give Goodine some credit there. But their bigs get into position as the shot's going up, and then they're just in and around. And it's about a 50-50 chance or better for some of their very physical players to get some of those rebounds. So it's less a matter of, hey, block out and go get the rebound. It's, hey, some of these teams are going to occupy that space under the rim, and it's about, pushing them underneath the basket where that ball can't come to them and finding little intricate ways and nuances to do so and to get it done. And that's really, Dayton Forsyth said it, I think, after the Vanderbilt game too. Just rebounds about getting it done, just going and getting it. And a lot of times it's that simple, but it's also a very hard thing to do against teams.
And I think you just explained it. We get a group text between Tyler and Dan Cavanaugh, our producer, and you laid out one of our talking points today: how to combat rebounding issues with the asterisk, other than just improving in that area.
Yeah.
And that's exactly
what
Dayton
do that too.
Yeah, but that's exactly what Dayton Forsyth did. Hey, man, you got to take advantage of that.
And he's helping a little bit in there, and it takes your guards helping too.
We got to find out his vertical. I think he can get out. All right, so that's the bad. No more of A&M.
That's right.
Let's continue when we come back on Vanderbilt, because the other piece of bread on that compliment sandwich is what Dayton Forsyth has become. And what a bounce-back game. I mean, whenever whenever Jeremiah Fears burst onto the scene the way that he did nationally in the Michigan game, everyone is like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? He's a lottery pick. We had a pretty good idea. But you come off a scoreless game and you do that, that's pretty impressive. We'll talk about it when we come back. It is Sooner Sports Talk. Toby and Coach are on the road. Oklahoma's got a big one coming up on Tuesday night against the Auburn Tigers. That is the #1 ranked Auburn Tigers. We'll preview them a bit when we come back. Let's go in depth on the role of the Dayton Forsyth and the bounce back from Jeremiah Fears next. Right here live from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Stick around.
Sooner Sports Talk is brought to you by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. Walden Cleaners and Laundry, where the difference is quality. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards. Dos Equis, the official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Bob Moore Ford is proud to honor service members through the Patriot of the Game. Log on to Soonersports.com/kids for information about joining the Sooner Kids Club presented by OG&E and brought to you in part by Orthodontics exclusively, Mathis Home, and Devon Energy.
Fun night here at Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. I can't encourage you guys enough. Sooner Nation, take an opportunity to come out here to Rudy's. Enjoy the barbecue. Great Sooner fans that are here every single Monday night. It's a great opportunity to talk OU football, basketball, baseball, softball, gymnastics, and we'll continue to do it throughout the spring season. That's Tyler Neal. I'm Chris Plank. This segment is brought to you by Dos Equis, the official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Okay. Sooners roll over Vanderbilt, and we've got a new spark. In fact, I think the nickname Sparky is starting to catch on for Dayton Forsyth. 14 points on Saturday. The Dale product has really taken advantage of his opportunities. And call me someone who might have a soft spot for an Oklahoma kid, but Tyler, I love seeing a kid from Oklahoma, because you know it means so much to them, have this impact in an Oklahoma uniform.
Well, and how about this, too? These days, in this era of college athletics, we don't see many guys from anywhere at any school, regardless of where they're from or what school they're at, stay around for 4 years.
Right.
It's just a new thing. So he's the type of player, the type of character, the type of kid that you wouldn't be surprised if he is already thinking, hey, like, I want to build a career here at Oklahoma. You know, just the little bit we've been able to hear from him through the media and whatnot, hear coaches talk about him through the media, and I think that's an awesome opportunity. Not that that's the only thing you need to have in mind when it comes to your college career. There's a lot of effort you need to put into your actual game, but I think there's a really neat opportunity for him here to build a little bit of a relationship with the fan base, and we're already seeing that. Kind of an emotional connection that all stems, frankly, from the way he goes about playing when he gets those minutes.
You know, you played with a lot of juice guys, right? Guys that when they came in the game, you're like, all right, we're going to he's going to bring us up with his energy, and he's going to dive on the floor for a ball. I like that. That's what he brings. That's the Sparky name. But dude can defend. I got to find out his vertical because he's got hops.
He can jump.
And you can't leave him alone. I mean, he
can
knock down those jumpers.
And I think we're only scratching the surface on his shooting ability as a player to this point in his career. And I think the main reason for that is I think Porter and the staff and him and Jeremiah Fears, the other guards, we talk about this game being hierarchical, right? And college, that hierarchy changes not only week in and week out, a lot of times game in and game out. And especially at this time of year when you're kind of trying to bed in new players that maybe weren't playing a lot of minutes before Christmas in the non-conference. Let's not forget, this is a 13-0 team in the non-conference. Dayton Forsyth wasn't playing a ton of minutes in those games when this team has been on its best roll, and now he is. So there's just kind of an adjustment period there. And I think Porter said it best after this Vandy game in that post game. Inconsistent time, a lot of times for young players, will yield you inconsistent results. And I think Dayton Forsyth is going through that and kind of understanding where he can truly affect the game when he's in. And the good thing that I love about him, that's all he cares about.
Yeah.
It's not about points. It's not about rebounds. It's not even about the pride that comes from defending or trying to overachieve on the defensive side of the ball. It's just about, hey, where can I best affect the game when I'm in during these minutes. And more importantly, I think he's realizing the effect it's having on his teammates. As you said, it is a contagious effort to come in and play like that.
Now, we could talk about Dayton Forsyth all night long. Let's talk about the guy who
hopefully he keeps giving us chances too on future shows. I think he will. I think he will.
I mean, I love the kid. I love he had the shiner, he had the black eye.
Yep.
I mean, come on. It's just that's what you want to see in a dude that's
right.
leaving it all out there. Jeremiah Fears had a frustrating game against A&M.
Yep.
He went scoreless. He was able to get to the basket. He was aggressive. What did you see, Tyler, that really clicked with him against Vanderbilt on Saturday?
It just seemed like the Golden State Warriors used to be maybe one of the best teams of all time at this, creating what we call game pressure, a little scoreboard pressure.
Yeah.
Hey, we just went on a 9-0 run. Now you're down 12. How are you going to handle it? Is it going to change what you're doing on offense? Take some worse shots on offense. We can rebound the ball easier. Jeremiah Fears playing open court. So it kind of snowballed as the game went on. But even before that second half where everything came so easy to him, you see all these drives, a nice pass there to Glenn Taylor, which he has that in his bag too. Really gifted passer and willing passer as well. But you saw a little bit of that in the second half. But even before it got to that point, that snowball started rolling for him. He was still more effective and more impactful. And I think where that came from, going to be completely honest, he knocked down his first three. I think it's really important for Porter Moser and this staff it's really hard to just create a gift of a basket for a player.
Right.
Porter Moser's good enough to be able to do that a lot of times, a good offensive coach. But for a guy like him, he's worth it with the effect that he can have on a game if he does get going early with an outside shot. So keeping my eye on this game against Auburn and Tennessee this week to see if they continue to do so.
Yeah, the one thing that I loved, and I know that Toby will mix in. He's fearless. I think it's natural, but it truly is. We were watching the highlights in his drives earlier against Vanderbilt. There's no fear. There's a couple pretty good bigs on Vanderbilt that can swat your shot. Mm-hmm. He just gets him on his hip, and he's gone to the basket. You love to see that aggressiveness.
Really quick, really athletic, hardly ever. He does have some turnovers from getting to the end of drives, probably those stopping a little bit earlier than he had in mind when he started the drive. But you don't see many turnovers that are just his dribble, like his handle, losing his handle. He just doesn't do it. I mean, he's almost already a pro in that way, which is really impressive. But one thing I'm looking for in this Auburn game, they lead the league in a lot of categories, number one in the country for a reason. On par, to be honest with you, analytically, with these last two Connecticut teams, national championship teams we've seen. So they're a true national title contender. Really excited to see the Sooners take on that challenge. But for Jeremiah Fears specifically, another statistical category Auburn's number one in the SEC is blocks per game. They got Janai Broome. They've got other bigs in there that they really like to stay at home on drives. So picture it, Jeremiah Fears driving to the basket, wings staying at home, taking away three-point shooters, and forcing you to finish through contact or over a hand. They're foul prone for that too. So I think this is a good Jeremiah Fears kind of inflection point to see how does he handle that. Does he take that extra dribble and look for a pass out? Does he stop his drive early and be happy with that 10-foot shot or a little bit of a floater, which is easier to do over a shot blocking hand? I think it could be another really fun challenge for him. It'll be really difficult, but I mean, he's coming off this 21-point performance against Vandy is a great time to run into this challenge.
I'm looking at this upcoming schedule, and it's brought to you by the Trails Golf Club in Norman, and you see the number one team in the country. You see a team that's been a top 3 team in the country. And, Missouri just went on the road and smoked a top 25 team in Mississippi State.
Who's playing really good.
This weekend. Yeah, it's a challenging stretch. The one funny thing about it, Tyler, whenever Oklahoma got out of the Big 12 into the SEC, we thought, okay, I mean, maybe basketball, Kentucky's good.
Good athletes down there.
It's not like big. Oh, no. Yeah, of course, we get into the SEC. It's the best season the SEC has had. Should be fun. Man, I love talking this with you. Thanks, Tyler.
You too, man. Appreciate
Sooner
it.
Sports Talk rolls on when we come back. Jeannie Bronchek is slated to join us. Skylar Vann is going to be here tonight. And one of my favorite bigs, Beatrice Colleton. It's all coming up live from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Stick around.
Sooner Sports Talk is brought to you by Norman Hyundai, your premier Hyundai dealership for new and used cars. The best place to gear up for game day is shop.soonersports.com. The Sooner Sports Podcast is your all-access audio pass to Sooner Sports. Listen as Toby Rowland and Chris Plank talk all things Sooners. New episodes drop every day. Log on to Soonersports.com/podcast or search Sooner Sports Podcast in your favorite podcast provider. Presented by Allstate and Riverwind Casino. Orthodontics Exclusively is a proud sponsor of the Junior Captain of the Game. Junior Captain is the ultimate fan experience for children 6 to 12.
Rudy's on a Monday night, and I see, as we come back from break, Jenny Baranczyk comes walking in. So real quick, Tyler Neal, as we let Coach Baranczyk roll in, this segment presented by Riverwind Casino. Good time, great rewards. It was a challenging weekend, but it ended up being a fun game down at LSU for him, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, man, there's so much to look forward to for this team. They're so fun to watch. They play with tremendous pace and tempo. And I think they're always looking for ways to continue to do more of that, which is, man, just a blast to watch.
Absolutely. We'll hit some of the highlights, and we'll do a quick change here and let Jenny Baranczyk slide on up with us.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you hanging out. One more segment. But, on that showdown against LSU, it was a game where Oklahoma fell behind a little bit early, but they battled, they scratched and clawed. That was one heck of an environment down in Baton Rouge. But they never quit. Sahara Williams was aggressive to the rack. This team fought. Big shots from Peyton Verhulst and beyond for Oklahoma. And, I was listening to Coach's post-game radio interview, as I always do. And I thought the thing that stood out was, the push, was how this team never let up, Coach. And please welcome Jenny Baranczyk to the stage. We were just talking about how that light at Chautauqua can be a nightmare sometimes. But this team fought and scratched and clawed this week, didn't they? I know I'm never going to be allowed back to Rudy's.
You
probably.
Might not be.
I'm
you might
sorry.
Not be.
I'm bad luck.
No, I'm sorry. I 20 when you get up at 7:29,
right?
You feel like you're on time, and and I'm making my girls are sprinting and they just got treats. Who gave them treats?
They
Too
already
many
got
fans
treats?
here. Darn it.
They ain't going to bed anytime soon tonight.
No, that's awesome. No, I mean, obviously it's been a hard week. I know that,
right.
And it's been a challenging one. And actually, we just got done with our team watching the game from yesterday, and especially the defensive side. And we're playing against really talented players, and we were talking about even just the difference between schemes and styles of play and how this league is different than what we know. And, you're never going into a game saying, oh, well, we've played them before. Now, we are with Ole Miss,
right,
which is our next game, so that's a little bit different. But the environment at LSU was incredible. I mean, it was packed. That's what we've seen everywhere. And it was a really heartbreaking loss, and we just didn't get over it in time for the next game. I think that was part of it, but also I was really proud of the fight that we did have at the end of the game.
And that's where I kind of wanted to focus it, because not just the fight, we saw the push there, but this team they never tap out. There's never been even in frustrating games they've had. I love the fight in this team, Coach. You see that? You feel that too?
Well, and what's really clouded right now is our losses are to top 12 teams.
Right.
And you're close, and we just haven't overcome what we need to be able to overcome. One team that's been in the top 25, that's the other loss on the season. And so I think that's something that I'm proud of our group for our response. Sometimes I would like it to be a little bit better. But I do feel like, when you can have a game where you're down, 20 whatever points in the second half, and you just don't stop and you just keep going and you put yourself in a position actually to win that game, that says something about your team. And although we don't have everything that we want to have and where we want to have it right this second, it's in there.
Yeah. I know that a majority of our audience are people that are going to games, and people that are here at Rudy's tonight, they go to games and they support this program, and you guys are awesome, and I have so much fun there. We got to get more people there. I just think you go to LSU and you see that, and the roads you've been on, and the people that are there, it's great. But I I know marketing's working their backside off. You're working your backside off. We're on the radio. It's just you got to go experience what this basketball team is about, because you go on the road and you're facing sellout crowds and it's making a difference. We got to get that same juice in our stands, don't we?
You know,
Because you guys are doing your job.
Well, it's interesting. I actually ran into Patty Gasso the other day, and which congrats to her. I mean,
Olympic
how
coach.
amazing
Yeah, how about
is
that,
that?
right? Yeah,
I
big
know.
time.
I mean, talk about just a huge pride for all of us. I
Yeah.
mean, how amazing and so well deserved at the same time. So it's not completely shocking, but it's absolutely incredible. And we were talking about the differences in the leagues, and and she's like, how was it going to South Carolina, and how was it going on the road, and it's elite. I mean, it is different. When you go, and it's not every day that in a conference game there's 18,000 people, at an arena, or it's on Sports Center at game day for women's basketball. And why I say that is not just these teams in our league that are so good, but on a national level, our sport is on fire. And you want that to continue to grow here, and you want these young girls to fall in love with this sport and continue to love it. And so we want to be this great example of that. But no, we do. We have to continue to do more. And I promise you, we're going to play better, and we're going to figure some things out, and we're going to be really, really good. I know it. But we do. We need help to do it, and we need you to be a huge part of that. And you need champions no matter where you go. And our champions need to boo louder when they need to boo louder, and they need to cheer louder when they need to cheer louder. And so that's something that we're going to keep building it, and whatever we can do to make this place an incredible place, as incredible as it can be, that's what we want to be able to do.
And I'm glad you mentioned the rocket ship that currently is women's basketball, because we watched Caitlin Clark's number get retired this weekend, and then Iowa went and upset USC, which was a big shocker. But Asia Wilson, had her number retired this weekend. And these aren't stories that you're reading like on the back page of a sports page, or it's an awesome. I mean, it's like the lead on Sports Center. That's huge for the sport.
Well, because
isn't it?
people care.
Right.
It doesn't get to just be the lead on Sports Center because we feel like, oh, right now we should promote women's sports. It's because people want to know, and people are following. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that, and we kind of forget that what that actually does mean. That means people are clicking. They want to know. They want the information, and they're asking for it. And so that's something that we want to be able to do for our community as well.
Yeah, and I just think more than anything, I get a little bit jealous whenever I see what you guys are up against at LSU, and I'm like, I want that here. I want it to be that crazy. But again, that's that was a heck of a fight, Coach. I do one circle back to LSU, and we'll talk a little bit about the Kentucky game when we come back. But to see this team as down as they appeared to be, to fight their way back, it does talk to that kind of inner mentality, does it not? I know you'd rather them be great from the start to finish, but to see them bounce back after not having it for a while is pretty big time.
Well, imagine what you can do, and obviously there's a lot of things that we didn't do well, and we know that. But imagine what you can do when you're in that kind of a hostile environment, when you're playing against that much talent, and their talent showed out. It wasn't like they didn't play well. They played really well. And so you have that. We are in all sorts of foul trouble. You lose a player, and in Liz Scott, who has just been so great for us. And that was a hard situation as well, because you also, you never condone any kind of fighting. You don't want that. But we also, this is a test for us being our first year in the SEC. It was hard to be the Big 12 team that was leaving.
Right.
And guess how many times I was asked my opinion on whether or not we stayed. 0, right? 0 times. And so, but we carry that, and we understand that. We understand that responsibility, and we understand as fans that we want to win yesterday, and we understand that we have this mindset. But you have to get used to it. You have to understand the SEC is different, and so now we're the new guy, and so we're not going to get the benefit of the doubt, and that's okay. I'm not mad at that. And I'm not going to feel sorry for us for it.
Right.
So we've got to continue to get better. We know that. And that's what you got to see in Liz standing up for a teammate. You got to see that in our Never Say Die, even when things weren't going well. And so that's the stuff that we're going to continue to build on. Because now you're not competing for a championship in this league. No one's, we've lost too many times. But what are you playing for?
Right.
And so now we're playing for something so much bigger. And I think that's really going to propel us in the future to be able to have that winning find us.
Hey, before we grab our first time out, I do want to talk about the pink game, as I've always called it. It's just so rewarding, isn't it? I mean, I know you want to win every game, but when you see the story around those who have fought breast cancer and the commitment that you guys have made to continue to raise awareness, that scene on Sunday was really special.
Well, in especially in the women's basketball world, just to start, Kay Yao was a matriarch in the game as well, and she was a coach. She was important to so many people, and we just celebrated Pat Summitt with the Alzheimer's game. And then you have this game that is it's huge. And the really special part about it is that not only, and Sherry Cole's on the board of the Kay Yao Foundation, which is really important for us to continue that legacy as well, because that's important just for Oklahoma. But what is so much more important is you start to look at, everybody wants to play for somebody.
Right.
And unfortunately, we all have way too many somebodies that we have to play for and honor in these games, right? Whether it's people that are fighting right now, that have beat their battle, or that have lost. And so we have these stories and we carry them with us. And when you go down the tunnel and you see all these survivors and all these people that are wearing these amazing pink shirts and they're cheering for you, and because it's also a place they get to cheer for themselves, and it's also a place that the number one thing that we want to do is be the best for this community we can possibly be. And so this is just one of those examples that you get to play in a game for so many people. And it's just so much more about community than it is about maybe the one person or two people that you think that you're playing for. Because the reality is we're playing for so many of us.
That's it's touching, it's incredible, and it's awesome that you guys are continuing it. We'll take a break. We'll talk about the upcoming week. Look back on that Sunday game against Kentucky. It's Sooner Sports Talk. Jenny Baranczyk talking OU women's hoops from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Stick around.
Sooner Sports Talk is brought to you by Norman Hyundai, your premier Hyundai dealership for new and used cars. The best place to gear up for game day is shop.soonersports.com. The Sooner Sports Podcast is your all-access audio pass to Sooner Sports. Listen as Toby Rowland and Chris Plank talk all things Sooners. New episodes drop every day. Log on to Soonersports.com/podcast or search Sooner Sports Podcast in your favorite podcast provider. Presented by Allstate and Riverwind Casino. Orthodontics Exclusively is a proud sponsor of the Junior Captain of the Game. Junior Captain is the ultimate fan experience for children 6 to 12.
It's our final segment to talk women's basketball with Jenny Baranczyk, and it's brought to you by Pike Pass. Make it home safe, Oklahoma. Now, the players were just getting out of practice, so they didn't have time to get over here. So we brought Baranczyk expert here.
Yes.
Hope. How old are you, Hope?
7.
7?
I was like, how long is it going to take us to remember how old we are? We're in first grade now, aren't we?
You know what? We should tell.
Yeah.
So Hope, and your other daughter is?
Jordy.
Jordy's the rock star.
Jordy,
So,
yeah, she
Jordy,
come
on up here,
Why
Jordy.
don't you come up here too?
Yeah, and I know you're
on.
ready. You're a media star. Last week, a friend of mine came to the show, and he was so excited. He wanted to ask you when Jordy's going to get on TV again. Remember that last
that's
week?
right. They
he was
did
so
ask us
excited to
that.
see you. So
I know.
you guys playing hoops? How's basketball going for you, Hope? You good?
Good.
You enjoying it?
Yeah.
What's it like having mom? Well, mom's not the coach of your team. What's it like having a coach and then knowing that your mom's a coach too? Is it kind of weird, or is it
Yeah.
cool? A lot of basketball talk over the table, over the dinner
Yeah.
table. That's good.
What do we tell you? Play harder, have fun, maybe try a little defense.
Is it the same message it's overall for the entire team? Is that kind of, you feel like what you're getting is what the team's getting too?
Yeah.
All right, very good. You're awesome, Hope. You want to let Jordy talk for a little bit?
Yeah, why don't you put your headset
Here.
on, Jordy?
Now,
This might be the first time that she's ever been quiet.
uh-oh. Yeah, sorry, you
So-
okay there? All right,
Oh,
good.
she's good.
I've got a 10-year-old that if she started talking, it wouldn't stop. What's up, Jordy? How are you?
Good.
How's
yeah,
basketball
this
going?
one's 10 too.
Good.
You're 10?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Get her in the post, right? How's basketball going for you?
Good.
Are you liking it?
Yeah.
How did you handle fame?
Nervous.
You were nervous?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you think about this, okay, Jordy, you went viral.
I don't-
Probably.
She doesn't really even know that she did.
Really?
Like she kind of does, but she didn't have, she's not on social media.
That's right. It's not like she's fighting with people
she
on
was
Twitter
8.
like I am.
She
Right.
was.
Are you on Twitter fighting
Yes.
with people like I do every single night? Because it's not healthy. But so for you, what's it been like to be a fan and watch your mom do this? Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And now to take the sport on yourself. Do you ever watch highlights of your mom when she played? They don't
No.
pull up any Iowa highlights?
Nope.
You guys want to
I'm
watch
good.
some now? I can pull them
No.
up for you.
I don't know if you could.
You know?
I'm just old enough, just that you can't
Hey,
do it,
it's-
and it
it's-
just wasn't good enough for people to
Now
actually
that's
go
stop.
find
That's
them.
BS. Stop. She was great. A serious question here for you. What's the
Yeah.
balance like? I mean, you come racing in, and
Oh.
you got Hope and Jordy in tow, and they got basketball, and and your husband's a
Right.
rock star, and you got a
Well,
son.
my husband and son, they're at the Thunder game tonight.
Oh, are they really?
So, yes.
Nobody's playing in the Thunder
Yes.
game tonight, so basically
Well,
they're going to watch.
That's okay. They're still there. They're
Well,
still
they'll
supporting.
enjoy it. Yeah, they'll have
Yes.
fun with it.
No, honestly, it's sometimes you don't realize, there isn't a thing called balance. I know we talk about that so
Right.
much, but it's like they're enmeshed in it all, and they feel it probably more than I ever think that they do. This one, especially the one with the microphone here, and Jordy gets really nervous about every game, and she's 25 questions, and she knows first names and last names of every player that we ever play against, and then she still keeps reminding me of Aoka Lee when she scored against us, and now she doesn't like Georgia anymore because she, lit us up yesterday. And she, but yet, she knows everybody, and it's fun because the other thing I think that's so cool, because there's so many things I miss, right? And there's so many things that I wish that I could do, and there's so many, moments that I don't get to have with them, and it's hard as a mom. You hear it so much as coaches. With dads, but it is hard as a mom when you don't get to go to school lunches, and it's stuff like that, and you're working, and they just listen so well, right? But I will tell you, it is so amazing to watch the amazing women that we have in our program, and these guys want to emulate them.
That's cool, isn't
and
it?
I'm proud of that. I'm proud that we have these great, incredible, strong women that they get to emulate.
That's
and
cool.
they get to come see, and they get to see them sometimes at their best and sometimes not, and they get to see when they really feel the passion of the game, because that's all I care about. I just want them to be really passionate about whatever it is that they do.
But we know Jordy's passionate. We've seen it. We know.
We do.
absolutely-
See, I didn't know it.
You
I
didn't
didn't
know it?
Well, because
What
I'm
are you
working.
hiding for, Hope?
Because I'm working. I mean, Hope is just now. You know what she did in the first game? Her and another little friend, Courtney Harris, in our office, has a daughter. They decided that they were going to start a concession stand. So they were selling things from our office right there in the Legacy Lounge. Yep. So there was coffee creamer everywhere. And I said, what you really need to do is at least get some cash for NIL.
That's right.
I mean, at least let's have a purpose for some of this. So you guys got to be better entrepreneurs, I guess.
Oh,
But
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good idea. Good idea.
Yeah.
You saw the snacks, and you're like, let's go sell these things.
Yeah,
That's thinking.
exactly.
All right, Jordy, I need your help. Can you help me out with one question here?
Yeah.
Because there is the Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue question for Coach. And it's brought to you by Rudy's. Remember, for the best in real Texas barbecue, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Any question you have for Mom, for Coach Baranczyk, involving this team, what would be your big question based on what you've seen the last few games? You got one. You got one in the cooker for me here.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Why do you get so mad?
well, at who? You or at the refs or
refs.
at our team? Oh, the team. Why do I get so mad?
Hope
at the
says
team?
the team.
Well,
Jordy said the refs.
I would like us to guard a little bit better. Maybe pass it to our team. I do get mad at the refs.
Yeah.
You think
have
so?
to.
Oh, your dad gets more mad at the refs? Well, that's good.
I want to sit next to your husband at the game sometime.
We're telling all. Good thing we
We'll
don't
probably
have a
both
mic
get
now.
tossed from the game.
You never know. We're trying to work on that. We're really trying to work on that.
You gave a great piece of advice. I got to go with you on the first trip. I went to South Dakota. It's a memory that I'm going to take with me forever. And I'll never forget in the post game, Maddie came and sat down with us, and she started talking about the officials. And you go, Maddie, we're working on, that's not going to be an excuse. We're going to find ways. And it just stayed with me to where, hey, we know, we know you're terrible at officiating. But
I did not say that.
I did.
He said that.
But I'm just making a general
But
comment.
I can give you a list of names that could follow.
But you don't want that to be a crutch for your players, right? You want them to fight through it as we take a look at the upcoming schedule, too.
No, exactly. And I think that's exactly right. You can't go in the world and think that the world is against you because we have so many amazing people. When you wear an Oklahoma jersey, do you know how many people are for you?
Right.
That you don't get to give enough attention and enough power to people that you think are against you. Now you can plan for some things. You can, you got to be able to adjust. You have to be able to read the game. That's the beautiful part of basketball is that it's subjective. That's also the very frustrating part of basketball is that it's subjective sometimes, right? And so, I think you just have to play to love to play and you have to overcome and you have to rise up. And we're in that right now, being the new person in the SEC, and that's okay. We just have to embrace it a little bit more, and we just got to get a little tougher, a little better, and we will.
Love it. Love it. Trails Golf Club of Norman. There you go. Ole Miss coming up on the 6th and Auburn here. Great job, Jordy. Great question. Appreciate it. Awesome job. Thanks, Hope. Thanks for coming up here. This was better than any player that we've had so far this year.
Well, I don't know about that. Some of our players have been pretty
Reagan was
impressive.
really good here last week. Thanks,
Yes.
Coach. You're
Appreciate
the best.
you. Hey,
Jenny
thanks, everybody.
Baranczyk.
Boomer.
Boomer Sooner, guys. We'll come back and put a wrap on this edition of Sooner Sports Talk Live from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue.
Thank you to our cornerstone television partners, OU Health, OG&E, Fowler Auto Group, and Coca-Cola.
Final segment for us here from Rudy's. So it's brought to you by your Oklahoma Buick GMC dealers. Big thanks to Jenny Baranczyk, Hope, and Jordy Baranczyk. Stole the show. Tyler Neal talking hoops. Thanks to KJ Kindler, Elle Miller, Kira Wells, women's gymnastics, Mark Williams, Zach Nunez, Brandon Zapata Orth. Don't forget, you can find it on the podcast, Soonersports.com/podcast. For our producer, Dan Cavanaugh, on-site assistance for our man, Drake Dykin, and our entire Sooner Vision crew. Enjoy the week, and until next Monday night, Boomer Sooner, everybody. Have a great week.
Live at Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. Sooner Sports Talk has been brought to you by Dos Equis, official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Sooner Sports Network.